please turn off their cell phones. I'm Betsy Clark from the CBO, and this is Louise Krause and Elaine Bambershop, who will be our moderators this evening. They'll be providing the questions for the candidates. I'd like to welcome you all to the forum for the general election, which is going to be held on November 8th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the location is here in Building A. Tonight, candidates for the Board of Trustees are here to provide their viewpoints on pre-prepared questions. The questions have not been provided to the candidates in advance. The CBO is happy to provide this opportunity for the community to meet the candidates and learn more about them. We'd like to please welcome our candidates, Bruce Amos, Joe Klosky, Lynn Tamalo, and Mike Morrissey, who was unable to be with us because he has been ill. He's on a medical leave from the board. We wish him well. Bruce Amos and Mike Morrissey are currently serving on the Board of Trustees and are running for another term. I'd like to take this opportunity to give you a brief view of what a trustee can expect. The Charter defines the duties of the Board of Trustees in this way: as a governing body of the special district charged with maintaining the common areas, including buildings and amenities. Each year, the community manager and the department managers prepare a budget based on the needs for their specific department: administration, finance, food and beverage, golf, property services, and resident relations. The Board of Trustees reviews these proposals and adds their input for capital projects for the year. Any money set aside for capital projects does not change the departmental budgets that cover payroll, insurances, cost of goods, maintenance, repairs, and other departmental costs. Each department budget and each capital project budget are fully funded by assessments, revenue from food and beverage, golf, and resident passes and fees. Trustees are charged with determining the projects, the timeline, and the priorities using the resources and advice of the community manager and department managers. The payroll includes full and part-time employees of approximately 100. Legal counsel and community manager are contracted, and that funding is separate from payroll. There are approximately 4,885 homes in Barefoot Bay, with a population in the area of 9,900. The community is 1,100 acres in size and is the largest manufactured home community in Florida. Barefoot Bay Recreational District was established by Brevard County to provide for the operation of the community. Brevard County provides the law enforcement, fire and emergency services, street maintenance, animal control, water and sewer, and other services. Residential lots and homes in Barefoot Bay are owned. There are no HOA or condominium fees. Elections for the trustees are part of the general election process each November. Candidates for trustee must follow all the requirements for all candidates for government offices and are required to provide the same financial reporting. Barefoot Bay is nonpartisan. With this brief introduction to the government side of life in Barefoot Bay, let us begin the forum. Each candidate will have an opportunity to introduce themselves. Then the candidates will rotate with the first question starting with Mr. Amos, the second with Mr. Klosky, and the third with Mrs. Tamalo. This rotation This rotation will continue throughout all of the questions. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to the question, and if there's a rebuttal needed, the candidate will have 1 minute to respond. I'd like to thank you all for being here this evening and invite you to personally greet the candidates on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 to 12 for an informal meet and greet with the candidates in the pavilion. We'd also like to thank Rob Allen and the Tattler for graciously helping us out covering this evening for those who cannot attend. And with that, we will start our forum. Thank you.
Okay, Bruce, you're up. We'll start with you, and the first question is, what is your experience in leadership and decision-making? And that can include your own self-introduction.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Bruce Amos. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm currently on the Board of Trustees in the position of chairman. My education includes a high school diploma and a few college courses in computer science and business management. We bought our house here in 2009, moved in permanently in 2011. I've kept a close eye on our community government over the years. It started with the HOA. I went to meetings, read the newsletters. When I found out what trustees were responsible for, I started following what they did and their elections. I was appointed to a vacant trustee position in June of last year. I appreciate the opportunity I've had to work with the trustees and the staff on behalf of Fairfield Bay community for 15 months now. I've learned more and more during those months, and now I have a better informed input at their meetings. I think I have proven that I bring no pet projects, no personal agendas to the board. My main concern is to keep Fairfield Bay a great place to live for all residents, no matter what their interests are, using a realistic budget and some common sense. You may have noticed that I've written notes a lot, like now. That's because I just won't respond off the cuff on things I do not have a good grasp of. I do research and then I can talk about it using my notes so I don't leave relevant points out. My achievements so far. Last August, the BBRD only had one bid of $42,795 to supply and install 3 required ADA lifts for the pools. I thought this price was a bit excessive and proceeded to search out a better quote. After a few false starts, I got a better quote from a fairly local outside vendor for the exact same product. The total cost of that invoice was $17,127. The board accepted that bid with a savings of $25,668. Because of bureaucratic problems, surveys, permitting, etc., the installation was delayed for a few months, but they were installed and they're in use now. I was a trustee appointed to the committee to finish the restoration of our lake banks. I helped choose a lower price vendor, a savings of well over $100,000, and they had a better warranty. Their job started on time and finished on time and had no additional cost. The lounge and the 19-hole project were already in the budget when I took office, but I did vote to remove the lounge walking floor from the budget because I didn't think it was necessary to be replaced at this time. That saved us about $130,000 in this year's budget. I worked with the CBO to put on an informational meeting with animal control and other agencies. I'm not in favor of major spending unless it's necessary for the upkeep of our energy. I want to make sure that what we have stays in good repair and won't have enough money left in the budget for smaller projects that seem to be getting lost in the shuffle. There's no reason we cannot have a wish list and put some of these less expensive items in the budget. I also try to keep prices down by investigating other vendors, etc., as I did with pool. This is becoming our standard operating procedure, as Kathy Mendez just did the same and trimmed over $100,000 on our outdoor lounge bar project. Thank you, Kathy. In addition, our manager, Ken Sean, is actively sending requests to more than 40 general contractors and now getting responses to get the work, concrete, electrical, etc. on their beach. Stop here. I plan on living here as long as we were sitting today. So thank you. I think I ran over time.
Thank you, Bruce.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Lasky, and I reside in Fairfield Bay for 22 years. I'm the president of the Coach Club for the last 12 years, Vice President of Petaluma Palms. I served on the Board of Trustees for 14 years, which is 7 terms. I was 4-year chairman, and I retired in 2020. And number one priority right now is the employees, and also I'm interested in some of the capital projects that I'd like to see done, and I can discuss them later on. But some of the other things is that I want to see the pool 1 pit construction and relocation of heater equipment, the outside bar at the lakeside, complete the restrooms at the beach, and all the ADA compliant access points to all the buildings. And I do support and implement a fair and competitive pay and classification plan and health benefits for all employees. And I do support the raising of the camp from $25,000 to $50,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Lynn?
Good evening. My name is Lynn Tomato, and I have lived in Barefoot Bay for 38 years. I have been a witness to the growth of the Bay. I was with Avatar Properties here in Barefoot Bay for 7.5 years, who owned Barefoot Bay prior to Barefoot Bay Recreation District taking it over. I was a food and beverage manager for Avatar. I spent a lot of time ordering, staffing, entertainment, presenting food and beverage budgets yearly to the community manager for food and beverage, who was Georgia Story at the time. I left employment with Avatar in 1992 and began working for the Indian River County Sheriff's Office, where I retired as a civilian worker in 2012. I decided at that time retirement was not for me, and again I sought work here in Barefoot Bay Recreation District as assistant to Kathy Mendez, who is food and beverage manager. Kathy does an excellent job here in food and beverage along with the rest of the staff. I've had the opportunity to become Barefoot Bay's first catering coordinator here in Barefoot Bay. I have lived around and been around our management in Barefoot Bay for many years. I know the long hours that our management team and our trustees spend on our upcoming and annual budgets that we can live with. I am definitely for conservative and responsible spending, and I want us to get the best possible service that we can within our allocated budget. I am also for a hiring process that will always bring us the most professional people that we can have staffed here in Barefoot Bay. And I would like to see all of our amenities and aspects of the base run in a very smooth order. I would like to be your advocate and your voice for all homeowners here in Barefoot Bay, and I will vote always for the most majority of the Bay, and I will have no personal agenda in anything that we decide upon. I support positive growth here in the Bay, and I would like to spend a lot of time trying to bring back unity here in Barefoot Bay. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. This is question number 2. It begins with Joe. What is your number 1 priority for Barefoot Bay's infrastructure and why?
I believe the number 1 priority would be as I said before, the pit reconstruction and relocation of the heater equipment. And that has not been worked on in years, and it is getting to a point where if something happens, we would have a major problem, and it should have been done years ago, but I just can't understand why it kept being put off until right now. There's no solution but to get it done the right way, and so we did have it an RFP on and everything on that, so it's going to be very costly, close to about $200,000 or $300,000. So, but being that we have it out now, then we will have it completed. Thank you.
I have to agree with Joe. Our buildings are over 50 years old. A lot of things that should have been fixed were not fixed properly, and now we face many issues and many projects that we're going to have to decide which ones we're going to have to take full attention to get repaired correctly. We have projects that we have lined up that are on the 2023 project list to get fixed. So it's up to the trustees now to decide which projects are going to have the full attention first to get done and get completed.
Bruce?
Thank you. I believe our number one priority right now has to be our employees, not just because the state government mandates things, but because we need a quality workforce to maintain our amenities and to keep Barefoot Bay running smoothly. And I also agree with the other candidates here. We definitely have to repair these old buildings, and I think maybe we could do that or help do that by creating a capital projects investment account so we can have money to address the big ticket items that we know are going to happen in the future. There are things like golf course residing, swimming pool reconditioning, filter pits and heaters, etc., that we know are going to be coming. So we need to put the money away for that as we can, so it's not a big hit in the future. Like a couple of these projects are going to be, like the pit replacement and heater movements. That's going to be a lot of money. Thank you.
For the third question, we'll begin with Lynn. With the changing demographic and younger families moving in, what concerns and/or opportunities do you see facing the BOT?
We do have a tremendous amount of younger families moving into Barefoot Bay, and I do believe that we need to perhaps come up with a lot of things that are active for our families that are moving in here to Barefoot Bay. We have many times tried different youth groups, so forth. They seem like we don't have enough family members always who want to come out. They have in the past been more of a babysitting service rather than getting in there to actually want to help the young children. I believe that our young people need our support because they are going to be our leaders. So we need to be positive leaders for our children and our young families so that they will have respect for our country, respect for the older people, respect for Barefoot Bay.
Younger families are definitely moving in here, and maybe we need some new amenities. I don't know, maybe a skateboard park, things like that. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not suggesting it. Maybe we could get some kind of electronic game clubs. People could get games together and all that. And we would support that. I believe the board would support that. If some things need money, that's where we come in. We can finance, get the support to build these things or make room for what they might need. A lot of it also has to come from our residents to start some of these clubs and get these children interested in and to have somewhere to go. Like I said, a game club. We could have electronic games in there that they like to play. They can come over to one of our buildings and play games on a certain date and things like that. That's how I think we can get involved.
I know since I moved here 20 years ago, we didn't have as many young kids as we have now, and I do agree with Lynn and Bruce that we do have to come up with some other ideas like game rooms and maybe they put baseball, basketball, and all that stuff, but it's hard to really decide what these young kids would like to think. They would, like I said, we wouldn't need the parents to maybe help us out and everything, so that's the only way that we do have to budget money to build some of the projects and everything, so, like I said.
The fourth question, beginning with Bruce. Are you familiar with and what is your understanding of the DOR and the ARCC duties and processes? I'll do the DOR is the Deed of Restrictions. ARCC is the Architectural Review Control Committee.
My understanding, we are a deed-restricted community. We have rules and regulations that I believe starts with our ARC committee. If you want to do something to the outside of your structure, in your yard and whatever, we have permits that you need to get so it conforms to the deed of restrictions. It's all laid out and mostly in the ARC committee's guidelines of what you can do and what you can't do. And then when you do what you want to do anyway, that's when the DOR violations committee gets involved, because if you do something that's in violation of the deed of restrictions, and by the way, the deed of restrictions isn't made by the Board of Trustees. The deed of restrictions was made up and it's changed anytime it's changed by the residents. So if you go against that, then your violations committee, they can break you up and try to get you to correct whatever violation that you might have.
As Bruce did say, this is a deed-restricted community, and we have to follow the guidelines according to what the deed restriction requires. And if you plan on doing anything to build on your home or anything, you got to get your necessary permits and have a regular contract to do your work for it and everything. And you might have to even need county permits. So as far as it goes on, everything that you do here has to go by the books. In other words, you got to get your, like I said, get your permit, and then the PR committee will then approve it or disapprove it for the permit, whatever it has to be done, and also with your county. So, and when you do violate, you do something that you build or you do something, you will get a violation, and then you have to correct it and everything. So, thank you.
The DOR is one of our most needed things that we have here at Barefoot Bay. The DOR lets us know what we can and cannot do here in our community. It keeps our community beautiful. It keeps our homes up, keeps your neighbors' homes up, make sure that your neighbors' homes, your property looks as nice as you try to have yours. So the DOR is very important, our deed of restrictions. And every homeowner that comes to Barefoot Bay, first thing when they go into the bay and they go into the office, that's one of their packages that they can receive. So everyone in Barefoot Bay should know what your deed of restrictions are. Our ARC committee is a committee, volunteer committee, but this committee is very, very knowledgeable of the things that we can do, what is going to pass with Brevard County coding. So when you're given your Barefoot Bay permit, you still have to have a Brevard County permit. And the ARC, if you come in with something that they know is not going to pass, they're going to let you know, so this way you don't have a problem. You follow what your ARC says, and you'll have no problem getting your permit. Another very important part of Barefoot Bay.
Okay, the next question is kind of a broad question, and it's, if you had a new resident coming into you, say you're at the pool, the lounge, and the pool, and you wanted to tell them about Barefoot Way, in your 3 minutes, could you give us a little bit of an idea of what you would say to a new resident that's just coming in? And that starts with Joe. As an elected official, and if you were to meet someone who is a new resident in the Bay or looking to buy in the Bay, what would you say to them? Your description of the Bay.
First of all, I would say, if they want to know what's going on in here, I would tell them to go to the district office and talk to them in there to get all the information, like information on the ARCC, the violation, and
How about the Polish Club, Joe?
hmm?
How about the Polish Club? I'm talking casual.
Oh, okay. Well, I would tell them, what do I always tell them that there's a, like say, we got a lounge here, we got a golf course here, and if to go into the lounge, you gotta be a homeowner here, and the golf course, you have to pay your membership dues to play golf there and everything, and that there are different clubs and everything here, and we have, like say, the ethnic, we tell them we got the ethnic festival, we got, in February, that picnic by the beach, and we got, like that, we got the Christmas parade, and no, a lot, well, you caught me off guard on that one, so, but I guess I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm much better when I think instead of doing it right now, but that's the way I look at it. Thank you.
Lynn, sell us the Bay.
Barefoot Bay is a perfect place to be. It is a community of a mixture of people. And I always like to tell anyone who wants to live in Barefoot Bay, I tell them what a great community Barefoot Bay is. Barefoot Bay is a place you can be as busy or as quiet as you want to be. It's our amenities that make Barefoot Bay. We have an 18-hole golf course, we have shuffleboard courts, we've got the lounge, we've got the 19th hole, we've got many clubs from every state that people get involved in. We have our shuffleboard courts, our mini course out there. So many things that constantly keep people busy in Barefoot Bay. If you're looking for a place where you can socialize and have the best neighbors in the world, then I would tell anybody, Barefoot Bay is where you want to be.
I guess I would tell a new or prospective resident what a wonderful place this is to live. I mean, there's plenty of amenities, golf, pools, shuffleboard, a beach. If you're bored, then it's your fault because we have maybe 100 clubs here that you can choose from. You can join them, not join them, whatever you like to do. It's a very nice community. People are involved with each other here. People help each other out. It's a friendly place for the most part that I've found, unless you go too slow on the boulevard. But people will help you out, and there's plenty of things to do, and to me, it's one of the nicest places and safest places that you can live.
Beginning with Lynn, what recommendations do you have to secure and retain qualified employees?
Employees here in Barefoot Bay, we don't have enough full-time positions. Most of our people are part-time. So trying to retain employees, we're going to have to come up. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to do because of the labor that's going to be the $15 an hour. But when we want to get good, qualified people here in Barefoot Bay, we're going to have to give them something that they want to come here to Barefoot Bay. Our benefit package that we have here are strictly for full-time employees. We don't have enough for the part-time people. Part-time people do get 4 hours of vacation per month. They start off with 2 hours. And then after they're here for a couple of years, then they get 4 hours. They don't get any sick time. So that's something that I think that could be possibly maybe that if we could give our part-time people sick time as well as the vacation for the full-time people, maybe we can hang on to some of these people. And in order to work here in Barefoot Bay, a lot of our positions that we have, you really need to live here in Barefoot Bay. It's a great place to work, it's a great community, but as anything else, people want benefits at the place where they work.
Well, the things I may recommend for employees, what I would think about is we definitely have to have a fair wage. We have to have something that maybe entices some people to work here and want to stay working here. We can give them some training. We have decent benefits, I believe. We do have vacations that they get, and we have a pretty good matching savings plan, I believe, that we just authorized in one of the board meetings there. They maybe need more of a chance to move up, and I don't know what else we could do. Just make it a nicer place to live, and work, and that's about all I have.
We do have the full and part-time employees, full-time employees, they get the benefits and vacation time and everything, where your part-timers work only 20 hours or so, because they usually have a retired or spouses working there, so they just want to work here for part-time and everything. But I do believe that even the part-timers, maybe give them a couple hours of sick leave a month and vacation, and give them some more, we need to give them more training and everything, and like the full-timers and everything. So it's hard to, unless we should sit down and discuss it, like at a workshop or so, what we can really do to help the part-timers like we do for the full-timers. So it's hard to just say what you want to do. We did have a study plan here a couple of months ago, which I'm not on board and everything like that, but it did say that we need to increase our wages and everything, because we are the lowest in the county on that. So that's why some of the people don't really want to work here, because they can go somewhere else and the same job that they're doing here, they could probably get $10 more somewhere else. So we're low on that end. So we do have to increase our wages and everything. We do have the $15 minimum wage. So it's hard to figure out what we can do unless we study and review it.
Thank you. Your next question. With inflation and fixed income issues imminent, and Barefoot Bay's ability to raise assessments to support the community, how do you see inflation and the resulting CPI affecting residents' ability to pay? That's Bruce.
Well, we definitely have inflation, and we're also running a cap. We've been running under a cap from our county council there, and we haven't been able to raise the assessments in a while to get any kind of meaningful money coming in. I mean, if we were allowed to raise those assessments over the last few years, we could do everything, in a little bit larger increments that have been done, and we would be a little better off, making it easier if we had to raise it again, which we're going to have to raise it because everything is getting raised to us. So we are capped at that, the CPI, I believe it is. I don't know what else we could do about meeting that goal as far as to help the residents out. And I'm stuck in that boat myself. If the prices go up, we just have to pay it. You have to tighten your belt if it's that bad, but we're going to have to, as a community, the only income, the majority of our income comes from our assessments. And if we can't keep our assessments running up to maintaining what we have, then we may be in some trouble. But I think it looks to me like we should be able to do that. I don't see it's going to be having to raise a ginormous amount of money in order just to meet the cost. I think as long as we can keep around the CPI, then we should be okay.
A couple of years ago, we were stopped by with Mr. Tabaya, and we had the CPI, and it was we can't go over the CPI, so that's why the first year we had, we only gained about 48,000 from all the residents for the whole year. So there's not much you can do with 48,000, and I don't know what's going to be like this year, and so we just have to wing it with what we're doing, and that's why we do not have that many major capital projects like we used to have them. So we're just going to have to, and then with this $15 minimum wage, that's hurting us also. So we're just going to have to see what happens in the next year or so, because I'm sure that after a certain time we can be able to maybe go again, raise that CPI a little higher. But right now we just can't do nothing because our hands are tied. So we can't really raise our assessments as we want to, so we're doing the best we can with what we have.
I firmly believe, I tell everybody every day, I'm a senior citizen too, and I work like a lot of people do, and I say every day, everything's going up but my pension. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. Inflation has gotten out of hand. There's nothing that I can do about it, or you can do about it. Our assessments are how we pay our bills. That's how we do our projects. No one wants to see that go up. And that's why I spoke earlier about the importance of doing the most important projects first and getting them completed. No one wants to see their assessments go up, but unfortunately, that's how we do our budget here in Barefoot Bay. And hopefully we can get our projects done and not have to raise our assessments this next year. They have just gone up. So hopefully that won't happen again. But everything keeps going up.
The final question this evening is kind of a complicated one, so it's two parts. The first part is this year's ballot has two questions for referendum. One, to extend the trustees' term from 2 years to 3 years. And just as a note, that's 3 2-year terms, and then it would be changed to 3 2-year terms. So you're not changing the length, you're just changing the way the terms are done. And the second part of the second referendum question is to extend the capital spending cap from $25,000 to $50,000. What is your opinion of these and why? And beginning with Joe.
Well, I'm against raising from the 2 years to 3 years. I'm not in favor of raising the term limits from 2 to 3 years. And what I'm going to say is because if somebody is on the board and he's not doing a good job or he can't do anything, the residents have to put up with him for another year or 2 years, whatever it is. Because if he's going for 2 years, he can be always voted out and everything. But if he's for 3 years, that means they have to keep him for another year and everything, and things could get worse, and he might not just not do what he wants to do. So I'm not in favor of going from 2 to 3 years. But the other one, I do support camp from 25,000 to 50,000 because we buy these homes, and And then which if the home costs 30, say 27,000, we're already over the cap, and we can't buy it because we had a chance to buy a couple homes like that, and we just couldn't do it because we didn't have to go over the 25,000. So that's why I'm in favor of having to raise it from 25 to 50,000. So I'm hoping that all the residents will vote for that, and whatever way you want to vote for the 2-year, from the 2-year to 3-year term, that'd be up to the residents if they want to increase that or not. But the spending cap, I would like to see go from 25,000 to 50,000, because we've had the 25,000 for a long, long time, and everything's double, triple, and so you just can't really get what you want now from what you was able to get it 10 years ago. So I'd like to see that increase, but I'm not in favor of the term limits.
I am in favor of a 3-year rather than a 2-year. I feel that a new trustee just coming onto the board, I feel it's going to take you a good 5 or 6 months to know how everything goes, to do all of your everything that happens with your boards. You've got many workshops that you've got to attend and get to know exactly what you can do here in Barefoot Bay. So yes, I am definitely for 3 years rather than 2 years, especially once you get in there, you can do a lot of good. So I'm definitely for the 3 years. Raising the cap from 25,000 to 50,000, I am also for, because Barefoot Bay, when we go in to try to buy some of these old properties, we lost out on some bids of the old properties because the trustees could only go up and the bidding could only go up to 25,000. A couple of the places that we lost for $500 or $600 because they couldn't go any higher than 25,000. So to buy some of these old places, to get them torn down, get the lots sold, get the undesirable property out of here, had we had 50,000, would have been much better.
Okay, on part one, we had more or less 1 for, 1 against, and I'm kind of like right in the middle. It's what they want to do is make it so we have 2 3-year terms instead of what we have. The reasoning behind it is so you would never have a majority of the board up for election in the same year. That's a pretty sound reason. It sounds good to me, but in my research, that's never happened. So I don't know if it would. I agree with Josie. If you're up there in 2, you don't like somebody, you can get him out in 2. Also, with Lynn, if you have a good board that's running well, then you get an extra year out of that. So I'd go either way on that one. As far as the neighborhood, the other one, the changing the charter cap, just happened to hit one of my papers here, from 25,000 to 50,000. First off, any increase has to be approved by Florida legislature. That's already been completed. An increase up to 75,000 was approved in House Bill 1157 of the regular session in 2007 and signed by the governor into law. So what the board is asking residents to approve is well below the authorized amount by the government. Barefoot Bay needs this increase so our neighborhood revitalization program can continue to buy distressed properties, tear them down, resell the lots to a buyer who's going to put up a nice new house on it. This keeps Barefoot Bay a nice place to live, and I think that's one of the most important ones that we've had for a while.
Thank you, candidates, for your answers. Thank you, everyone, for coming here tonight. And don't forget, on the 22nd, come and meet the candidates. You can have some cookies. There's cookies in the back, by the way, also. But you can have some cookies and beverages. walk up, shake their hand, and if you have a question you really need to ask them, you can ask it at that point. But at least this way, you'll get an opportunity to meet them personally. And this was a group of questions we felt were pertinent to everyone in the Bay, just not an individual. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Did you have a good time, Bill? I was munching on a cookie.